So far, we've learned how to set up a scene and how to create and manipulate objects in Flash. So in this chapter, we're ready to learn the basics of animation. Flash doesn't have any limits on what can move, so once we understand how to work with the timeline and set up motion settings, you'll be able to animate everything in your movie. Now let's get started by opening up the Chopper 4 file in the Chapter 3 folder of your project files. In this chapter's project, we're going to be making a little animated advertisement for the local channel's news helicopter, Chopper 4. And as you can see, we've got Chopper 4, or the helicopter artwork, sitting right here, and it's in its own layer. I do want to add a couple more things to the scene. First of all, I want our animation to be a night scene, and we can accomplish that just by changing the background color of our stage. If you don't have anything selected, the property panel should have document properties in it, and our stage color is right down here. So I'll just click, and we'll select a dark blue here. That looks pretty good. Now, if it's night, we should also have stars. And this will give us a chance to use a brand new tool. Located up here in the tool palette, with the brush tool, you can see it has a dark triangle in the lower corner. And if I select that tool and hold my mouse button down, you can see that we've got a spray brush tool associated with it. And this will give us a spray can type of an effect. It's got some settings down in the property window, but let's just try it out. Now, if I click or click and drag, you can see that I get little splatters of paint. And it's all green. That's not going to be too good. So let's see if we can clean this up a little bit. I'll go back and select what we've drawn, and you can see that that gets dropped in as a group. So let me delete that. I've got another one in there. So I'll delete both groups. And first of all, we really should be organized, so let's make a layer for our stars here. I'll create a new layer with my new layer button at the bottom of the timeline window. And we'll go ahead and name that stars by double-clicking on the text. Now, let's select our spray can tool and let's change some of the settings. The default shape's a dot, and that's going to work good, but the color needs to be changed. I'm going to pick off something, let's see, maybe this light cream color down in here. That'll give us kind of a yellowy star. We've got random scaling checked, so that's going to give us different size dots, but the pattern was a little bit too small, so let me increase the width here. Now again, whenever we see these blue numbers here in the Properties panel, you'll notice that I can click on them and drag my cursor to increase or decrease the value. I'm going to bring this up to somewhere around 300. That's the height of our image, so that should be pretty good. I'll do the same for the height. There we go. And we've got our stars layer as the active layer, so I should just be able to go and spray some stars in. I'm going to go up towards the top here and do kind of a quick movement. And there we go. A nice smattering of stars. They're on top of the helicopter though, so let's fix that by just moving our stars layer down below the Chopper 4 layer. Now I also wanted a little foreground element, so let's add some buildings so that we get a little city skyline here. Of course, we need a layer for it. We should keep things organized, so I'm just going to create a new layer. We'll name that one Buildings. And it just so happens, with our Deco tool that we saw in our last chapters, that we also have a building brush available to us. Now this one's kind of interesting. You don't get to use it very often, but it's pretty easy, and it's kind of like the tree brush. All we need to do to use the building brush is just click and drag. Now, I've got it set for random buildings, and I'm using the normal building size. Let me just scroll down here a little bit so that we can kind of see the bottom of our stage. And I'm going to start by dragging out a little building. And there you can see, I'll just drag another one next to it. And each time the building brush just adds different random buildings with colors and patterns on them and puts a top on it. I'll just continue that all the way across our scene, and we'll have our skyline set up. There we go. Now it should be pretty easy to select all these buildings, even though there's a lot of parts to them, because we can just click on the buildings layer and then all the pieces get selected. To make sure everything stays together, I'm going to go over to the Modify menu and I'm going to group these ones. And that way we won't be able to grab a single part of the building and mess things up. I can also drag this down a little bit so that it's just covering the bottom of our stage. Now, if we don't want to accidentally select either one of these two layers and we're done with them, we could go ahead and lock the layers. We can still work up in the timeline window, but we won't be able to select either one of those elements on the background.